I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, the issue is a Republican challenge to President Trump.
I'm going to run for president, and I'm happy to be on your show announcing.
Former Congressman Joe Walsh is now officially in the presidential race. He's with us here in studio to share his plan to pull off the greatest upset in political history. Plus, the issue is guns. San Francisco's Board of Supervisors says the NRA is a domestic terrorist organization. So where do we go from here on this debate? That and more with our panel. Journalist Jessica Yellin, conservative commentator Elisha Krauss, and comedian Carlos Mencia. Here we go. The issue is starts right now. And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson, and with us this week, former Congressman Joe Walsh is here. It's been less than 2 weeks since he announced his presidential run. Walsh is a one-term Republican congressman from Illinois. He was part of the Tea Party wave. He has been a radio talk show host. He's been a social worker. Now he's presidential candidate. Joe Walsh, welcome to The Issue Is. Thanks so much
good to be here,
for
my
being
friend.
here. We really appreciate having you here.
Thank you.
All right, well, we've asked every presidential candidate the same question to start off, and we'll ask it to you. Why you?
Why me? Look, this isn't an easy thing to do, and running for president, this is the first time I've done this. I genuinely believe Donald Trump's a bad guy. I think he's a danger to this country. I think he's unfit to be president. I've been hoping, Alex, all year that a Republican would step up. A Republican didn't step up to make this case. I did 10 days ago, and I will.
You backed Donald Trump in 2016.
Yes.
You said he was better than Hillary Clinton at the time. Do you think our country would be better off today if Hillary Clinton was president?
It's a good question. I don't know. I know that I regret that vote, and I know that I regret supporting Donald Trump in 2016. I don't know that I would have supported Hillary. Look, I didn't love Trump. I didn't like Trump. He wasn't Hillary. I thought he was a goof, and maybe he'd hire a couple good people and a couple good things might happen. But Alex, man, after a few months of him in the White House, it became clear to me that almost every time he opens his mouth, he tells a lie. You can't handle that. None of us can.
So to run for president, my old political science professor liked to say that you need three things: money, organization, and message. Mom, well, hear your message. I'm not Donald Trump. I can do this better. But in terms of money and organization, the White House is already doing some things to try to stop you.
Yes.
There's moves this weekend in South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, and Kansas to get rid of the Republican primary altogether. There will be no vote in that state, meaning that you can't get any delegates. What's your response to that, and how do you fight that?
I don't know if I can say bull, you know what, on the air. It's absolute BS. You talk about undemocratic. So here's the president of the United States, this big, tough, strong guy, right? He wants to eliminate elections. That's what you're talking about, Alex. Trump's rigging the system this year because he doesn't want a primary opponent.
So have any high-profile Republicans vowed to back you?
No, and they won't because they're afraid.
So why are they wrong? Why are 80%, 90% of Republicans that back President Trump, why are they wrong?
Well, two things. I think that support's soft. And remember, a lot of people left the Republican Party. We want to bring them back. They left the Republican Party because of Trump. Look, right now, Trump has destroyed the Republican brand. Our campaign slogan is "Be Brave." Because I believe, Elex, that most Republicans privately agree with what I'm saying publicly. They don't want 4 more years of this guy. The cruel tweets every morning, the guy who thinks he's above the law, the lies, the drama. I think most Republicans privately don't want that. We're going to try to get them to come out and be public.
So let's talk a little bit about your record. You've been pretty open about the fact that you've said some things in the past that were racist and that you regret. Some of that being saying that Barack Obama was a Kenyan, saying that he was a Muslim. When you said that, what was going through your mind?
And it's a great point, and I want to be really clear about this, because part of this announcement has been I helped create Trump. I went to Washington in 2010. I was part of the Tea Party class. We wanted to raise hell and do something about all the government spending. But over the course of the last 8-9 years, Alex, oftentimes that issue got away from us. And I can speak for myself. Oftentimes I got personal and hateful about Obama and people who disagreed with me politically. I think a lot of that hate led to this guy in the White House because he's the worst iteration of all of us.
I mean, but did you honestly think that Barack Obama was, or you're just like, I'm going to manipulate people's racism and play on that?
No, and I never got into the whole birther thing from the beginning. I did say on my radio show that Barack Obama was a Muslim. It was a terrible thing to say. I've apologized for saying it. You know, a lot of us got caught up in the conservative media thing, and you try to be as outrageous as you can. I stepped in it there. It was a horrible, ugly thing to say, but here's something that's kind of cool. I'm with you apologizing for it.
Yeah.
This guy in the White House has never apologized for a damn thing.
Another thing you said that was sort of controversial was this comment that you tweeted out November 8th, I'm voting Trump. On November 9th, Trump loses. I'm grabbing my musket. Clearly he didn't lose, so you didn't need to grab your musket. But let's talk about the issue of guns, though, and sort of where we go right now.
Yeah.
Do you believe that we need more gun control in this country? And if so, what does that look like?
I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I'm a big gun guy. I do think we need to look at two areas right now. And I'm not saying, Elex, they'll do a lot of help, but look, the American people, universal background checks. If I buy a gun from a gun dealer, I got to get a background check. If you're my friend and you sell me a gun, I should have to get a background check too. So I think we need to look at universal background checks. Red flag laws. People who are mentally screwed up or through their own behavior have demonstrated they shouldn't have a gun. That should be an area, if closely tailored, that both sides can come to agreement on.
Other issues, build a wall. The president says he wants to build a wall. Mexico pay for it. Obviously, Mexico isn't paying for it.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's value in building a wall? And if so, who pays for it?
Yeah, a wall, a border barrier should be part of securing the border, but the American people should pay for it. We should pay for it. The problem with Trump is that's all he talks about. That's all he's ever talked about is a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. It was a lie to begin with.
Let's talk about tariffs. Right now, there's a bit of a dispute between the U.S. and China. Do you think the tariffs that are being put on are helpful right now?
No, wrong, ugly, and hurting the American people. And, Elex, leading us into a recession. Trump blew it from the beginning. We know China cheats. What Trump should have done is bring the whole world together to united go against China. But Trump gets elected and he throws tariffs down against everybody.
One of the issues that Republicans point to that they're happiest with the president is the judiciary.
Yeah.
Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, good justices.
Yes.
Do you like what's happening in terms of the judiciary?
Yeah, and what I've tried, yes, and at lower levels, the Trump administration has appointed good conservative justices. There are things that Trump has done that I've supported. The bottom line, though, Elex, this isn't about issues. It's about him, the man. He's bad for America.
Let's do something and have a little bit of fun. It's called the name game here on the show. This is where we do different names of high-profile people. There's a little Beyonce, and we're looking for one word to go with these people. Okay, you ready?
Yo.
Here we go. This is where we may or may not get in trouble. President Donald Trump.
A liar.
Vice President Mike Pence.
Too acquiescent.
Former President George W. Bush.
Good man.
Former President Barack Obama.
A good man.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
He needs to sort of a nice guy who maybe has been around too long. Wow, that was more than one word.
That was. Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Energetic, great campaigner.
And the Eagles guitarist Joe Walsh.
A good close friend. No. The more famous Joe Walsh.
Have you heard from him in this whole thing?
We've gone back and forth at each other on social media. I hope to break bread and have a cocktail with him one of these days.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? All right, we also do a game called Personal Issues. This is where we put 30 seconds on the clock, and we get to know you a little bit better, okay? Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Favorite book?
I love F. Scott Fitzgerald and Hemingway, probably The Great Gatsby.
Favorite nickname?
Oh, my God, Rocky.
Do you have a favorite Disney movie?
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Favorite candy?
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Ooh, that's a good one. Favorite meal?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Beer or wine?
Neither. Tequila.
Tequila?
This is actually difficult. Tequila.
Who's your role model?
My role model, both my mom and dad passed away within the last year and a half. They were my life. I loved them.
And last question, favorite Eagles song?
Got to be Hotel California.
Hotel California. Well, you're in California.
I'm in California.
So that was the smart call. That's my favorite song. And we hear it right now. There's a little Hotel California for you.
That's hard to answer those questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I guess you passed. That's why you come on the issue.
Elex, thank you, man.
Thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it. Up next, our panel reacts to what we all just heard. Where does the Republican Party go from here, both around the country and here in California? The issue is, we'll be right back. And welcome back to The Issue Is. The panel is here to talk about the future of the GOP, Democrats, guns, and more. And we got a great group here this week. Jessica Yellin is back. Welcome back. She was a White House correspondent for both CNN and ABC News. Take a look at her interviewing President Obama, one of several presidents that she has interviewed. Her newest book is called Savage News. It's a piece of fiction about a woman who was a White House correspondent. Imagine that. Jessica's newest venture is called News, Not Noise. She breaks down big political stories in simple, nonpartisan ways. You can check it out on her Instagram at Jessica Yellin. Elisha Krauss is back. She's a conservative commentator. She co-hosts the Lady Brains podcast. She's also a host at the Daily Wire, part of the team put together by Ben Shapiro. Last time she was here, she was very, very pregnant. Well, now she has had that baby Sonny, who's in our green room, and very cute. Congratulations to you. Carlos Mencia is here for the very first time. He hosted The Mind of Mencia on Comedy Central for years. He now hosts The Journey with Carlos Mencia podcast, available now wherever you stream. This weekend, he's performing stand-up at the Improv in Irvine. For tickets, more on him, you can go to carlosmencia.com. Welcome all. Carlos, welcome to the first time, too. Good to have you here on the team. All right, we just heard from Joe Walsh. You were all here for that. Elisha, you're a conservative. You weren't a fan of President Trump before. You've liked some of the stuff that he's done since. What did you make of what Joe Walsh had to say? Is he somebody that you could support?
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I was never Trump in 2016. A lot of the things I had issues with were some of the things that Joe has brought up. And I think that that's something that you're seeing statistically. Republican women and moderate women are still having issues with the president. They don't trust him. They don't like what he's saying. But the bottom line is, do they like how he's governing? And as you pointed out in that interview with him, 80 to 90% of Republicans are saying that they support the president at this point. And unless the Democrats actually have something better than the failed Russian investigation that they tried and didn't do so well at, I don't know that any Republican is going to be able to withstand, the Trump machine.
But would you vote for Joe Walsh over Donald Trump?
At this point, I don't think so. I think he's a good guy. I just don't see myself voting for him.
Jessica, he's not the only Republican running. Right now, there's also Bill Weld, the former governor of Massachusetts, possibly Mark Sanford, the former governor and congressman from South Carolina. Any of these guys have any chance at all?
No. I mean, just no. President Trump is wildly popular within his own party. The next election will be decided by independents and undecided voters. The purpose of having people challenge him in this primary is to create a dialogue and to have more of the Republican Party as it had been represented. There's so many that are disaffected. The challenge is who's running. I thought that there was something absolutely astonishing that former Congressman Walsh said, which was he so easily acknowledged that when he called Obama a Muslim, he didn't mean it, that it was just part of the Republican or the right-wing media machine, and that it's just something that is done. I think, I respect his apology, I think he has a campaign or a message if he goes further and adds a little more oxygen to that discussion. How much of what we're hearing from that machine is similarly conveniently said for ratings?
So what I'm hearing is that there's no other Republican person that could run for president that has the ideals that Republicans would like other than Donald Trump?
There are a lot of them out there, but statistically, we all know that it's very hard to beat an incumbent.
All right, as we head to break, we're going to play a little bit of music. What do you guys think is the #1 song in America right now? It's a new song.
Taylor Swift.
Any thoughts? No?
No.
I've been listening to lullabies.
Okay. Well, it's Lizzo. Truth Hurts is now #1. So there we go. And there's a lot of hard truths when it comes to guns. The issue is guns when we come back.
The NRA has it coming to them, and I will do everything that I possibly can to call them out on what they are, which is a domestic terrorist organization.
That's San Francisco Supervisor Catherine Stefani, who wrote a resolution passed unanimously that labels the National Rifle Association a domestic terrorist organization. The NRA responded by mocking problems like homelessness in San Francisco. Let's talk about the gun issue and more with our panel, Carlos Mencia, Elisha Krauss, and Jessica Yellin. Carlos, is that going too far from San Francisco?
Yes, of course. We have a Second Amendment, all right? I think that the issue that really nobody's talking about is this. Do we want guns for militias the way it was written, or is it now transferred into, protecting your home? And if it's still a militia-based thing, then we're going to have difficulties getting rid of weapons of war, because a militia is supposed to have weapons of war. That's the whole point. If anything happens, they come up, they get. But if we don't believe in that anymore, then I believe that all of these other issues come into play. But one state doing something, it doesn't matter, because you can go to another state and, buy whatever you want to buy, bring it over. It's illegal, but
you can't bring it over. I mean, when I moved to the state of California,
bring it over.
When I moved to the state of California 7 years ago, there was an 8-week waiting period for me to change the clip in my Glock 19 because it had 17, the ability to have 17 bullets, and California only allows me to have 10.
I would argue that Americans are not having a hard time getting guns, so we don't have to start with a conversation in that space. I think that this resolution is a statement. It doesn't do anything doesn't have teeth.
It's an outrageous statement. I mean, the KKK
depends your view
isn't
of the
even
NRA.
I'm not a fan of the NRA. I'm not a member of the NRA, but I am a law-abiding gun owner, and I find it offensive for them. Who is going to be next? What group is going to be next?
What's happening in the California City Council in San Francisco, or whether what we call the NRA, is less relevant than will the majority leader of the Senate bring a vote on some of these gun safety measures that are wildly popular with the American people.
Is there political incentive for him to do that right now?
There is intense political incentive, which is that the American people overwhelmingly support expanded universal background checks. The challenge is that the NRA, as a lobbying organization, seems to have a stranglehold on those members and the leader.
Do you see anything happening when it comes to gun? Anything at all?
There's a possibility. I think that there has been no possibility for the longest time, and there's a slight amount of oxygen now, simply because there's a generation of kids who've grown up having these school drills, and the pressure they're putting on their parents and the demand for change in the future is so intense that politicians are starting to recognize it. But again, the capture I talked about earlier means it might not happen for a few years.
Universal background checks, do you support it?
Absolutely.
And what do you want to see happen on guns?
Well, look, when 90% of Americans want anything done, anything, and the system of governance doesn't do that's just anti-American. A government of and by and for the people. They should listen to what 90% of us want.
So it is interesting that as much as the NRA lobbies, you do have a collective on the left and anti-2A people who seemingly use these awful tragedies to try to push their anti-2A agenda. But when there are laws already on the books that didn't prevent
by the tragedies and want to take action. I mean, laws don't prevent crime. They help limit it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you know what else helps limit crime? My gun being able to protect me and my family.
Well, you have that right.
Okay. Before we head to break, we want to encourage you to check out our latest podcast. It's a one-on-one sit-down with Carlos Mencia about overcoming adversity, comedy today, Latino politics, and a whole lot more. He's got an amazing life story. And check out all of our past episodes in podcast form, plus digital extras, including a past conversation with Jessica Yellin.
Ooh.
All that in our archives. Just search for The Issue Is wherever you stream. We'll be right back. Up next, our panel on the upcoming Democratic debate and a very special music performance right here in our studio. Stay with us. I like this jam. It's an old school. On Thursday, the top 10 Democrats will be on stage together for the first time during the next Democratic debate. The field has winnowed down a lot, so what should we expect? Could be a big moment for the campaign. Back with our panel, Carlos Mencia, Elisha Krauss, and Jessica Yellin around the horn. What are you looking for this week?
First of all, more policy-based questions, and will they have a chance, the time to actually answer? Will we see Warren and Bernie Sanders go after each other at all, or will it still be hands-off? And who's willing to take on Biden, and is he able to respond effectively?
I'm going to be watching Joe Biden, and I'm so glad I'm able to drink now, because it's really funny as a Republican voter to just sit back and watch these guys duke it out.
Yeah.
It's a soundbite-driven forum. I thought that they should have split it up 5 and 5 and done 2 different nights instead.
And around the horn, back this way, who do you think would be the strongest Democratic nominee?
Oh, it's tough, man. I have no idea right now. I think that Pete's got a good thing to say. I think Biden, we love him, but he's the old man that we're all like, oh, he's going to crash now. He's going to crash. I'm just waiting for that moment where somebody goes, oh, there's Grandpa. Oh, so Elizabeth is really fired up. But, from looking from the center out, she's way out there, and she's a dangerous candidate. So we'll see what happens.
Quickly, who do you guys think would be the strongest nominee?
Against Donald Trump?
Yeah.
I think Joe Biden. And I think Joe Biden could have beat him in 2016. But I think that Elizabeth Warren at this point is looking pretty strong and could make it through the primaries.
I won't say who I think is strongest, but I will say that for 4 months I've said Elizabeth Warren will be the nominee. I believe that she is against the odds. The media doesn't like her. Men over 50 don't like her. Wall Street doesn't like her. She keeps rising because the people on the ground are connecting with her because she's a strong organization and a message. I don't know that that means she'll beat Trump. I think it means she has a good shot at the nomination.
Well, very interesting. And Alicia, we hope you enjoy your drinking game on Thursday.
Tweet me your ideas.
Cheers,
Like, what works?
cheers to a Biden gaffe. That should be a that should be a
You'll
shot.
be very drunk.
You know what, we love to play music on this show. And this week we had a real treat. Remember that gospel choir that sang "Stand By Me" at Harry and Meghan's wedding? Well, they were here in our studio to promote their appearance at the Hollywood Bowl this weekend. So let's end with the Kingdom Choir. Thanks for watching. The Issue Is, take it away.